Inca's western cruise route includes 15 visitor sites on 6 islands: Santa Cruz, Floriana, Isabela, Fernandina, Santiago and North Seymour. Each island has its own character and unique attractions. Collectively, they offer an experience of the natural world unlike anywhere else on Earth. After an overnight voyage from Santa Cruz, we begin our adventure on the island of Floriana. One of the oldest islands in the Galapagos, Floriana affords an ideal introduction to the archipelago because it's brimming with both natural and human history. We land at Punta Cormorant, welcomed by a committee of Galapagos sea lions. A short hike through Palo Santo trees brings us to a pristine crescent beach, where furtive ghost crabs take cover as we look for the distinctive tracks of sea turtles. This is one of their favourite nesting grounds.
Because the eggs are not in here. They're in this region here, so.
So they laid eggs here last night?
Yeah.
Just offshore, stingrays and small sharks cruise the shallows. A short hike inland brings us to a brackish lagoon where some of the most colourful characters in the Galapagos are often found. Just off of Floriana is Champion Island, an ideal site for our first snorkeling excursion because the waters abound with sea lions. It's hard to say who's more curious, us or them. If the morning on Floriana is about the natural world, the afternoon explores the island's human history. The famous post office barrel was created by whalers, so mail could be picked up and dropped off by passing ships. Today, you're the postman, looking for cards and letters to hand deliver when you return home, and leaving your own messages for visitors to come.
Netherlands. Hey, wait. Netherlands.
Hey,
You're going back to
Holland.
Somebody's going to Holland. Yeah, you guys, right?
In the highlands, tortoises await, brought from the island of San Cristobal to replace the endemic species that were wiped out by early settlers. Caves and tunnels offer evidence of Floriana's popularity with 17th and 18th century pirates. From the highlands we return to the beach to end our first day with a beverage, a barbecue and a leisurely sunset stroll. An overnight cruise brings us to the island of Isabela. Larger than all of the other islands combined, Isabela was formed by the merger of 6 volcanoes, 5 of which are still active. The day begins with a punga ride in Elizabeth Bay. Rocky outcroppings favoured by penguins, blue-footed boobies and sea lions usher us into a serene mangrove lagoon. We cut our engines to improve our chances of spotting sea turtles and rays in the quiet waters. Exploration gives way to recreation as we return to our yacht for a refreshing swim and midday snacks. Then it's on to Punta Moreno and one of the most startling landscapes in all the islands. Less than 1,000 years old, almost newborn in geologic terms, this surreal Pahoehoe lava field is already being broken down by early colonizing plants. And yet, not far from this stark environment, we encounter a lush oasis. Fed by rain and seawater seeping through cracks and lava tubes, this lagoon nourishes ducks and flamingos. A short overnight voyage up Isabela's western coast brings us to Urbina Bay, where we begin our 3rd day. Isabela is home to more tortoises than any other island. When it's time to lay their eggs, they come down from their highland homes to their nesting grounds in Urbina Bay's soft sands. On the way, they pause to sample the fruit in this manzanillo grove. Be careful though, these apples are poisonous to humans. On the same trail, we're likely to encounter some very large land iguanas. The deep burrows they've dug for their eggs are nearby. Back at the beach, we follow trails that bring us close to the tenacious species that thrive on the rocky shoreline. Marine iguanas, sea lions, and the aptly named Sally Lightfoot crab. At trail's end, more striking Galapagos geology. Giant coral heads, uplifted from the sea floor a mere 60 years ago.
And so all these are then different species of polyps or different types of corals?
Well, you see here, you see here a beautiful brain coral. Now this is definitely a different organism.
A lunchtime cruise through the cold, nutrient-rich Bolivar Channel is often accompanied by whales, lured by more than 500 species of fish that call the Galapagos home. Our short voyage brings us to the youngest, most volcanically active of all the islands, Fernandina. The lava flows, piled one on top of another, provide dramatic evidence of the island's relatively recent formation. And yet, Fernandina is already home to a great concentration of bird and animal life.
This is the human trail? Your spot is over there.
The endemic flightless cormorant with its stunted wings offers visible proof of evolution. With no need to fly, the wings serve other purposes: flippers in the water and shelter for newborn chicks. A final sunset stroll past approving sea lions caps another perfect day. Day 4 begins with a visit to famed Tagus Cove, a favourite of whalers and buccaneers since the Galapagos were discovered in 1535. Today, it's a great spot to break out our sea kayaks. Ashore, the winding trail beneath Palo Santo trees leads to spectacular views overlooking Darwin Lake. No matter how often they happen, we never grow tired of face-to-face encounters with Galapagos creatures like this curious flycatcher.
That's really beautiful, huh?
The morning's hike leads us back to our yacht for a lunchtime cruise to Punta Vicente Roca, with dolphins often riding our bow waves. This is a great spot to share an afternoon swim and snorkel with penguins and sea turtles.
Oh my God, that was incredible.
You ever seen so many sea turtles?
No, all around you.
Unbelievable.
As sunset approaches, we hoist anchor and head towards the equator. If you've never done it before, see if you can feel the bump when we cross. Even if you don't, you'll know when it happens because we'll raise our glasses to toast the crossing and our continuing Galapagos adventure. A long overnight cruise brings us to the island of Santiago, where we'll visit 3 very different sites, even though they're all within a few miles of each other. We come ashore on the beautiful red sand of Espumilla Beach, where a small army of ghost crabs stands guard. A short hike through lush mangroves brings us to a lagoon full of ducks and other aquatic birds. The trail rises through a forested landscape, often under the watchful eye of one of the island's greatest predators, the Galapagos hawk.
Oh, wow.
No binoculars are needed to observe this great bird of prey. The day's kayaking and snorkeling adventure comes at our next stop, Bucanero Cove. In the 18th century, pirates came here to count their loot, make repairs, enjoy a drink or two, and plan their next raids on treasure-laden Spanish galleons. Still, the highlight of our visit to Santiago has to be Puerto Egas, where cinder cone eruptions and the exposed lava shelf create a tidal zone that is a feast for the senses. At low tide, you'll see marine iguanas gnawing on the exposed green algae.
There's a bird over there with a marine iguana. What's that?
This is a yellow-crowned night heron, and their main prey are Sally Lightfoot crabs.
Puerto Egas is a favourite of native fur seals, and perhaps the only place you'll see them. Even here, territorial battles permeate the animal kingdom. As sun sets, we'll make our way back to the yacht and rest up for our next adventure. In many ways, the last day on the western route is a reprise of the entire voyage, reminding us of how much we've seen and done. Sea turtle nests on the white sand beaches at Las Bachas on the island of Santa Cruz. Another glimpse of flamingos at a nearby lagoon. The drama of blue-footed boobies diving in formation. A beach frolic in crystal blue waters. In the afternoon we head to North Seymour, where we have our final snorkel with sea lions and white-tipped reef sharks. Though North Seymour covers less than a square mile, the island teems with wildlife, including such iconic Galapagos species as blue-footed boobies, frigate birds, land and marine iguanas, and sea lions. It's as though our favourites from the entire week have been gathered for a final viewing. A dazzling sunset seems to glow just for us as we reflect on a week of adventure, discovery, learning and enjoyment that will stay with us forever. For this is a world unlike any other, the Galapagos.